Hey, hello there. So in this video, we are going to discuss about namespaces in C++. Now, some of you might have learned namespaces earlier if you have already got some C++ course, or some of you, if you are coming from C++ background and taking this course, might have no idea about namespaces. So depending on in which context you are using C++, whether or not this namespace topic is going to be important for you will change. Okay, so let's say you are coming from a background where you work on some system software which are written in C++. So in that case, namespace is going to be very important topic. But if you are just a simple school guy and if you are just learning C++ for writing some code for competitive programming exams, then in that case maybe this topic won't be that much important to you. But still, having an idea about how the namespaces are implemented in C++ and how they can be helpful for us as a programmer is going to be very helpful, because maybe in your interviews, interviewer can ask you some questions based on namespaces, because namespaces provides you a mean of creating modularity in your C++ programs or in your C++ application. So let's quickly get started and let's see what are the namespaces. So let me take you to a small presentation which I have created, and let's see what are the namespaces in C++. So if we see the definition of namespaces, namespace is nothing but a declarative region that provides a scope to the identifiers. Okay, so namespace is nothing but a declarative region which provides scope to the identifiers. So we have seen, if we declare a function and if we write some variable or if we create a variable inside that function, then the function will provide scope to that identifier, and that identifier will get a scope as local scope. Okay, if we declare an identifier, let's say in global scope, then the identifier will have global scope, or we can say that the identifier is having global scope. So namespace will provide another declarative region by which if we put in some identifiers inside that, they will get scope as the namespace scope. Okay, so we'll see what is namespace in much more detail, and I'm also going to give you one more example, one real life example, by which you will understand what exactly is the namespace, why exactly we need it. Okay, so namespace will provide us a declarative region of scope and for the identifier which we write or which we declare inside it. Okay, usually we use namespaces to organize the code into logical groups to provide name collision. Okay, not provide, to prevent name collision. See, usually what happens is if we have a huge large program, then in that case it may happen that our names will collide, or it may happen that we will use same name or repetitively. Okay, this can be an issue, right? So to provide or to prevent this thing from happening, we can make use of the namespaces. Okay, so usually when our program is pretty huge or it's large, in that case most of the times we will need to make use of the namespaces. Okay, so if you are a college graduate student and if you are writing just competitive exam level code, then in that case maybe namespace, you won't really use namespaces, because usually we use them if our program is pretty large. Okay, so let me just quickly give you a real life example by which we will try to understand why we need namespaces. Okay, so let's take an example where we have a house. Okay, row houses, multiple row houses. Let's say this is a society where there are, let's say, 1,000 or let's say hundreds of row houses. Okay, now let's say in this society we have two houses whose name is identical, let's say mill house. Okay, so you can see on my screen I have pointed one house whose name is mill house. Okay, there's one more house in the same society or in the same area where there are thousands of row houses, and its name is also very similar, its name is also mill house. Okay, now what is happening, the mill house on the extreme left hand side is actually, or the owner of that house want to call some guest or want to call someone at his home. Okay, so what he is doing, he is asking his guest to come to the mill house which is present in the, let's say, XYZ society. Okay, so this entire picture represents the society and the house is mill house. Okay, so the owner of the mill house on the left hand side is calling a guest in the mill house, or which is present in, let's say, XYZ society. Now the guest will be totally confused because there are two mill houses in the society. So the guest will not understand in which mill house he should exactly go, and this is a huge problem. Maybe he will knock a different door or an unintended door, which will create some trouble to him. Maybe his dog will come at him. Okay, so it's not good, right? So what this society is now thinking, say it is having, let's say, more than 1,000 houses, and obviously there can be possibility that some names or some house names can collide. Okay, they can collide with each other. That's why now what the society is thinking, it is thinking to divide the society or divide the entire region of that society into small regions called as sectors. Okay, so what the society is doing now, the society is distributing itself in small regions called as sectors. So you can see I have distributed the society into small regions. They are represented by the red box. Okay, so we have sector 1, then we have sector 2, and then we have sector 3. Let's say now in one sector, let's say there are only 10 row houses. Now the possibility of name collision will drastically reduce because we have distributed the houses in sectors, and in each sector, let's say we have only 10 houses. Okay, maybe these 10 houses owners maybe know each other. Maybe because of this thing, as they know each other, maybe they will not keep repetitive names in the same sector. Okay, let's assume this, that all these 10 owners know each other, and because of that, because of mutual understanding, they will not keep the repetitive name for their house. All right, now how the problem is getting solved. See, now the mill house, okay, can be called as mill house from sector 1. The another mill house can be called as mill house which exists in sector 3. So now next time whenever any guest will come, at that time he won't get confused, because let's say mill house from sector 1 wants to call a guest, then the guest will get addressed as mill house from sector 1 from society XYZ. Okay, so what we are doing is we are creating an additional scope, that is sector 1, and then inside that sector 1 we have a name, that is mill house. Now this mill house is actually getting repeated, but it is in different scopes. That's the reason the guest is not getting confused, and the exact same thing can be done in our programming. Okay, so in our program, let's say we have a huge file that is going to be our society. Now the huge file or the huge society can be distributed in small sectors, and in that sector we can define our identifiers, or we can create our identifiers. So these small sectors are going to be our namespaces, as easy as that.